Me Your Maker.
Such soothing music. Well,
Especially
folks,
right now.
Today we have on our show Mike Conder and John Huber, founder of the newly made Crowned Head Cigar Company. John and Mike, are you guys on the air?
I am here.
Yeah, we're here.
I'm worn out from listening to that political segment.
No kidding. Me too. I'm sweating a little.
It's only 13 minutes of it. It's only 12 minutes of it. Just a little touch of politics. Got to have it. So, guys,
Can we
thanks.
go from that to the what was the last thing? The
Dummy dialer?
Yeah, the dummy dollar. I mean,
Oh.
that's a pretty good intro for us, isn't it?
If you guys get a chance, listen to our November 5th episode. That was probably the greatest dummy dialer in the history of our show so far.
That was my birthday, by the way.
Oh, it was a great episode. We had Marvin Samuel on, but check it out. Listen, guys, thanks for waking up this morning and joining us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Happy to be on. Thanks for the opportunity, Abe.
No, absolutely, guys. And so, let's get started. Why don't you guys tell everybody a little bit about yourselves? I know both of you guys worked for CAO originally. And was that your first experience in the cigar industry, fellas? And how did that come about?
Well, since Mike's older and more experienced than I, I'll let him go first.
Oh, geez. The older part I love. No, for me, I started in the cigar business actually in college. I worked for a retailer in college way back in I shouldn't even say it, but it's the late 70s. And from there, I went to General Cigar and spent 20 years, 18, 19 years at General Cigar. Then to CAO. So CAO's, way down the line for me, but probably of all the times up until now, CAO was probably the most rewarding, actually.
Great. How about you, John?
Well, I started actually with CAO April 15th, 1996. That was my first day, and they were the only company I've ever been with, before Crowned Heads, and kind of, rode the wave to the shore, so to speak. And, Mike and I both did our time at CAO, and I learned a great deal with that experience, and as I tell people now, I say I look at that as like kind of undergrad, school, and now working with Mike and Ernesto, it's like going to grad school. It's a whole different league.
Well, cool. Just to give our listeners a little history and catch up. So, CAO Cigars gets acquired by Henry Winterman and then acquired by ST. And at what point did you guys begin to think that it was time for you guys to move on and start your own company? And why Crowned Heads? What was the inspiration behind the name, and how did it formulate?
Well,
I mean, I'll take the part about...
Mike, you take the first part.
What's that?
You take the first part.
I'll take the first part, yeah.
When we started to
from
think
a
about
timing
this whole
standpoint,
project.
We sold the company in 2007, and everybody stayed on that was involved in it, and we had a pretty good run from the beginning. But, over time, things change, and from the corporate management world, they took a little bit different view of how to run things at CAO, which was their prerogative, certainly. And I think as it got toward the end, the last year or so, when it became evident that they were going to move CAO into Richmond at General Cigar, that it was probably time for us to move on and think about doing something different.
And the Crowned Heads?
Crowned Heads was, I'm to blame for that.
Good choice of words. That's nice.
Yeah. Mike and I started talking about this whole thing, and then, in December, January, that's when we really started putting things together, and I was tasked with coming up with a company name, image, what have you. And so, with all my free time, I just kind of started writing down in journals, like, different company names, and I have, like, notepads filled with stuff, and I would run it by Mike. Some of them he liked. Some of them I liked, vice versa. Some of them we both liked, and the attorneys didn't like. So one day I was watching, in January, I was watching The Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite movies, and just sitting there, and for some reason there's this one scene where Dorothy's walking to meet Professor Marvel, and then you see the side of his caravan, and it says, Crowned Heads of Europe, Past, Present, Future. And I froze on that on my iPad, and I took a picture of it, and I sent it to Mike. I said, what do you think of the name Crowned Heads? I said, it's just kind of vague enough that people will ask what that means, but it's kind of has a nice sound to it, whatever. So, we ran it by a bunch of people, including the attorneys, and here we are a year later with Crowned Heads in our first release.
Cool.
I like it. I think it's a great name.
Thank you.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, I had to sell Mike on it, but that's okay.
Is there anything that you guys took away from your time with CAO that you've implemented, or your time and experience that you had with them that you're implemented and are using in your developing of the Crowned Heads company?
I would say from my point of view, it's not that we took something away that we implemented, but when you spend 10 years, or in John's case, I think 14 years there, you certainly form opinions about what's right and what's wrong, and we had a chance to try a lot of things from a marketing standpoint and really refine our thinking on which way to go if we had a chance to do something on our own. So for me, I don't think it's necessarily bringing anything over and using it. It's just more the experience you gain and the time that we spent there.
All right, good.
For me, what I took away was my severance package.
Nice. We have a winner.
Well, it looks like you put it to good use.
Yeah, kind of like what Mike said. I would reiterate that, and I would kind of say, like, I did a blog when we first started the company called A Do-Over, and like when my son plays ball or we're doing something, or video game or whatever, and he's not happy with something, he's like, let's do over. Let's have a do-over. So this was Mike and I's chance, and Michael and Nancy's chance at a do-over. So it's like if somebody gives you a second chance to do something again, how would you do it differently? And what you're seeing now with Four Kicks and Crowned Heads is how collectively we wanted to do things differently than our previous life at CAO.
Can I ask what the Four Kicks? Who sings that song?
Kings of Leon.
Oh, it's the Kings of Leon song.
That was actually one of my questions.
Is it?
Now
well,
you've
good. I'm
done
glad
it.
I beat you to it.
Now you did it. Great job,
Thank
Yerk.
you. Thank you. The story behind that, 'cause I guess that's going to be the next question, is back in 2010, I was probably listening to that song on repeat for about 3 months. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm like complete OCD, especially when it comes to music. If I find one song I like, I will play it over and over and over.
You're that guy.
I'm that guy, and I will drive everybody else
is crazy.
crazy.
I'm that girl too. It's okay.
So you can relate. But so and then the lyrics just kind of really stuck in my head. And at that time, we were going through the whole dissolution of CAO and being taken up to Richmond and the whole bit. And I just wanted to like raise a big middle finger to corporate America and all the kind people wherever, and just kind of say, enough. We're going to come back, and this is. The lyrics are, you and your Switchblade posse will get our guns from the South, and we were going to, we were bound to determine to stay in Nashville, so we were getting our guns from the South, take it to the yard like a cockfight, Four Kicks, who's strutting now? So that was really what I was feeling at that time, and fast forward like 6 months later, it's still kind of stuck in my head, and I started seeing Four Roses Bourbon, I saw Four Graces Wine, so I'm like, Mike, what about, we got a brand name, it's Four Kicks, and then there was all these synergies of there's four of us in the company, Four Kicks, four sizes, all this stuff. So, it just kind of worked.
Well, cool. Well, listen, guys, don't go anywhere. We got to take a short little break and pay the bills. We'll be right back with Mike Conder and John Huber from Crown Heads. You are listening to Kiss My Ash Radio on CV Radio.
Welcome into Kiss My Ash Radio, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars is all that matters. Whether you're new to cigars or been smoking for years, Honest Abe, Lady M, and Brandon the Mick are here to entertain, inform, and more importantly, smoke. To reach the crew, call them 877-960-9960. Now here's your host, Honest Abe.
Somebody said it. What was the show? Pay attention.
Nashville.
I know Emily was on top of it.
What?
Paying attention is for
we haven't
losers.
even told Emily that she's been wearing their sweater backwards all morning inside out.
Sorry I outed you there.
It is inside out.
Welcome back to Kiss My Ash Radio on CV Radio. We're in the middle. We just outed Emily for wearing her sweater inside out all morning.
And then I say Indeer Trading. Insider trading. Thanks, Brandon.
Big congratulations to John from Tampa, our social media winner of the word. He heard the word Nashville and win a complimentary 5-pack of Four Kick cigars. So, John, we'll get those out to you. Now, we have here on the line, we have John Huber and Mike Conder, founders of Crown Heads Cigars. Gentlemen, thanks once again for joining us this morning.
Thanks again for having us, Abe.
Glad to be with you.
I noticed you said something about social media. I promised somebody that I would say hello to Carlton in Illinois. He follows us on Twitter. So, hi, Carlton. Hope you're enjoying the Four Kick cigars.
Midwest, gotta love it.
Yep.
So, let's talk about your first brand release, Four Kicks. You guys recently released it to only 50 select retailers across the country, of which Smokin' was one. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking. So it's actually 66, to be correct.
66. Well, thank you for correcting me.
No worries.
At a time in history when, everybody's wants unlimited amounts of everything and get as much as you can, you guys took this opposite approach and really went with something exclusive. Tell us a little bit more about your theory and philosophy about why that was done, and give us a little bit of background on the cigar itself.
Mike, you want to take the philosophy, and then I'll take the cigar?
Yeah, from a distribution standpoint, really from the very beginning, we were looking for something that was, not to use a cliche, but we were looking for something that was really quality over quantity, and that really drove our decision in terms of where to go from a manufacturing standpoint. John and I really spent the first 3 or 4 months of the year trying to figure that out, knowing that would be the decision that we'd have to live with for a long time, and we talked to a lot of people. We were humbled by the fact that we had as many people as we did that were interested in working with us and making the cigar. And Ernie was really the first person that we had sat down with in January, and and had dinner with him, talked about things, and then went about our way and talked to a lot of other people. And then we came back in, I guess, late March or April, and really got serious with Ernie about it, and could not be happier from that standpoint. But from the beginning, I think the reason he was interested in us was that we were talking about doing a small batch product, something on the boutique side and limited in distribution, really about quality over the quantity.
Oh, interesting. And John, you want to tackle the
cigar?
Yeah.
Well, we knew going into everything, even before we picked the manufacturer, what we wanted the cigar to look like, smell like, taste like. We had a vision for creating a cigar that, at the time, everybody was really kind of gravitating towards fuller-bodied, heavier, strong smokes, and we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make our first release something that was really more about balance, and, we said medium-bodied but full-flavored. So we wanted a lot of complexity and richness, but we didn't want something that was a chore to smoke, that was difficult to smoke. We think we created a blend, ultimately, that even a novice can appreciate or a seasoned cigar enthusiast can appreciate, because it is exactly that. It's rich, it's balanced. We didn't want one note to kind of sing out louder than the others. We kind of looked at it like as a symphony, if you will, if you don't mind the corny cliche, where one instrument can't be louder than the rest. So we didn't want something to say, oh, it tastes like black pepper, or it tastes like this. But it's this even layer of complexity and flavors. And at the end, I think we got, Ernie nailed exactly with, what we had in mind. And working with him, it's exactly what we had in mind.
There's a lot of people you guys could have gone to create your blend. And obviously you chose the self-proclaimed godfather of boutique cigars, Ernesto Perez Carrillo. What led you guys to Ernesto to do the Four Kicks? And will you guys be blending future releases with him, or will you guys seek to diversify who's making your cigars?
Well, I can tell you what led us to him in the beginning is we as I said, John and I spent a lot of time really working through who the manufacturing partner hopefully would be, and we did a rating system where we kind of looked at every little component that we could rate of each one of the people that we knew, and at the top of that for us was really the character of the person involved. I think it was, obviously he's got to be somebody that can make a great cigar, but we wanted to hone in on the character of somebody that we would like to be a partner with for a long time, and Ernesto fit that bill for us, 100%. I've known him, I guess, for maybe 12, 13 years, and I know John's had a relationship with him for a long time as well, and he's just a stand-up guy that we have 100% trust in him, and that really is what led us to that path, I think, over, if there was one thing over anybody else.
And do you guys think is there plans to continue to use Ernesto, or you guys have any?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Unequivocally. I wouldn't want to be with anybody right now but Ernie. It's just been a joy to work with him. It's been a joy to learn from him. Even after my 15 years in the business, I learn something every time I'm around Ernie about tobacco and how he processes it, how he evaluates it, how he validates it. It just makes it exciting again and fun. And, yeah, we are, to answer your question, we're going to be working exclusively with Ernie for the foreseeable future, and as long as he'll have us, I suppose. We're actually working on a new blend as we speak. Mike and I have begun evaluating some samples in the office for a release that I guess they kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. That will be one size in 2012. That will be the preview of a full brand in 2013. So we're kind of working 2 years out.
Wow.
That's cool.
And
by the way, John, don't leave out that Ernie knows where to get the best churrasco in the DR, which is important.
Yeah, that's true too. Ernie did know the best churrasco spots, and I eat the same thing every time I go to either Nicaragua or the Dominican Republic. I have churrasco and papas fritas in every restaurant. It's like, it's very funny. It's an inside joke with Ernie and Mike and I, but if Ernie's listening, he'll get it.
Yeah, they were on the show last week, both Ernesto and Ernesto Jr. It was great.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it was good. It was good stuff.
Well, listen, for each of the 50 retailers, you're releasing a video on your website featuring their stores. And I found this, me personally, because we're actually working on our video now,
awesome.
A really cool and unique idea. I mean, whose idea was this, and what's been the response so far?
Well, we kind of, it was a collaborative idea that started from the philosophy that we wanted to treat our retail partners as more than just where to buy locations. And we kind of saw that in our industry and said, everybody's got a where to buy, but we really believe sincerely that, that's an extension of our team. We can get the cigar, we can make the cigar, we can package the cigar, and we can deliver it to the retailer like you, Abe, but you have the responsibility of getting it to the next level, which is the end consumer, and getting behind the brand and so forth. So it really is a team effort. It's not just Crowned Heads, or it's not just Crowned Heads and Ernesto, it's our retail partners. So in order to, quote unquote, spotlight them, that was an idea that we came up with, collaboratively in the office to do, video and really kind of focus more on the retailer as opposed to just focusing on where they're at or where you can buy them.
Oh, cool. Well, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Kiss My Ash Radio on CB Radio. We have Mike Conder and John Huber, founder of Crowned Heads and their newly released Four Kick cigars. You guys have seemed to have made a strong showing in promoting your brand and getting on the social media, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm sure it's helped you a lot in getting off the ground. Do you feel that this new social media makes it a lot easier to come out with a company and a new line than, say, it would have been like 10, 15 years ago?
I don't know if it makes it easier to come out with something, but certainly it's a different method to get to the consumer, and it's probably a little less expensive method to get to the consumer with information about your brand and your company. But like anything else, there are pitfalls with it, and you certainly can take wrong paths if you're not careful with it. But I think I joke a lot about John being not having any paper on his desk because it doesn't take paper to tweet. But I know John has really been involved from a social media standpoint going back before really most of us were in tune with it, and I think that's really helped us in terms of getting the message out about the brand and about the company.
Well, good, cool. Part of your philosophy, your company philosophy states, we're not here to do it like everyone else. And just curious, what specifically makes you guys different than everyone else, and then what is the importance of that?
Well, I think, part of that is just where we were at for the last couple of years in terms of just being, part of this whole corporate machine, if you will, that just made us say, enough of that. We're going to do things our way, and we're going to make our own rules. We're going to go about this a whole different way, which, a lot of people say, oh, this new release, Four Kicks, has been marketed so well, and they're saying it's genius, and da-da-da. The ironic part is, to us, we thought it was the anti-marketing approach. We didn't take out any ads. We didn't do any events. It was simply social media, just, putting up a website, and yet, for whatever reason, there was much anticipation and buzz and hype, if you will, created around the release of the cigar. It was a whole different way of doing things. We didn't go to the IPCPR. We didn't launch a new product at the trade show. So in those terms, we did this whole release, I'd like to think, differently than anybody else has done in a release. It's just been a different way of doing things and kind of changing the game, if you will, a little bit.
Yeah, it's really been received well too. At least in my store, it's we got people calling before it was out. Before I really knew what was going on about the actual cigar. It's been received very well.
We got people on the shop boxes that morning asking us which store has them.
Right.
That's awesome. I'll give you for instance. We got the shipment in on a Tuesday, and so I promised a local retailer that we would deliver ourselves the first order. And I delivered the first order at 3:30, Mike, and I went over there. And 10 o'clock the next morning, the guy calls me up and says, I got a problem. I said, oh, great. I'm thinking damaged boxes or something's whatever. And he goes, so what's the problem? And he says, we're sold out. And I'm like, whoa.
That ain't a problem.
That's a great problem.
So, yeah, it's a good problem to have, but, he's sold out again. And we're getting that across the country, getting in pockets where people say, we're already sold out of this and that. And we've gotten some good buzz online and some good ratings from some bloggers, and we're very happy. I'd like to knock wood that the launch has gone about as well as we could have hoped for.
Well, for any of our listeners out there, we obviously didn't get enough for all our smoking locations, so there's been 3 that have been selected. But if you really want to try 4 Kicks, just let anybody, one of our staff members know, and we'll make sure we'll be able to get you guys something. So now I'm told you took the name, as I found out and was told earlier by Emily, from a song by Kings of Leon. So it's safe to say you guys are fairly influenced by the world of music, especially living in Nashville probably doesn't hurt either. How else has music helped influence you and the Crown Heads brand? Has there been more influence from music on there?
I think you can't help but be influenced by music when you live in Nashville. Not to be, too obvious, but Music City, that kind of thing. And music is a real part of all of our lives, I think. And if you come to our office, you'll see huge life-size prints of Johnny Cash, Gatemouth Brown, Sam Phillips. We didn't put pictures of tobacco up there because that's obvious. But we just get a lot of inspiration. I know personally I do from music, and in fact, without giving out way too much information, the current blend that we're working on now was another musically inspired kind of an idea that I had like 6 months ago. So I don't know about Mike can probably talk on that point too, but music's a big part of our lives.
Yeah, I think you hit it exactly right. I mean, it's there's so much music and so much of a music vibe around town that it's really everywhere you go. I mean, there's a couple hundred places with live music. It seems like every night you see it everywhere, and we've been lucky enough to have a few of the friends in the business that spend time with us. And as John said, with his OCD nature, I have to walk into his area and listen to the same song play over and over and over. So it does kind of wear into you after a while. But it's a good thing for us. We really we do get a lot of inspiration from it.
Is there a new song on the playlist right now that the next cigar might be named after?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Oh, yeah?
That's the answer to that question.
Yeah,
it's secret. All right. Okay.
And what makes it even worse for everybody else in the office, especially Mike, is that it's like the first 5 seconds of that song. So I'll play it, and then I'll go back, 5 seconds, play it, and go back. So,
Well, listen, Mike and John, we have Mike and Conder and John Huber, founders of Crown Head Cigars, and their new cigar, 4 Kicks. I want to thank you guys for really taking the time, coming on Kiss My Ash Radio. Hopefully, we'll have you on the road again, on the show again in the future, and see what else you guys are up to.
Thanks, David. It was a pleasure. Wish everybody out there best weekend, and thank you very much for supporting 4 Kicks.
And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Coming up.
Thanksgiving.
Same for mine. And Abe, I want to tell you from our point of view, we're thrilled to have you in the mix, and we look forward to supporting your stores in the future and having a good relationship with you.
Goes both ways, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, guys.
Likewise. Be well.
Great. Well, listen, that was a nice little segment and very interesting couple of guys. I'm wishing them the best of success in the future.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere, folks. After the break, we got the Bloggers Corner.